part 2 of my conversation about Virginia with Christie Braggingyon of Virginia Tourism. I do know we talked about it's the home of NASCAR. I found out it's also the home of country music. Now, that is a surprise because one thought, maybe that started in Nashville or Memphis or somewhere like that. But it started in Virginia.
And to be fair, let's tell the whole story. So Bristol is the official, designated by Congress, birthplace of country music. Bristol sits on the Tennessee-Virginia line. Their main street is called State Street. And you can stand on State Street and they have little brass markers. This is the middle of the street, Virginia on one side and Tennessee on the other. So you can imagine the picture taking that happens and the drivers have to really watch. That Bristol, that city that has both sides, Tennessee and Virginia, is where in 1927, the famous Bristol Sessions were recorded. And it was on the Virginia side. And that's where the Smithsonian affiliated museum, the Birthplace of Country Music Museum, is located. So that's why we claim to be the birthplace. But in fairness, Tennessee also shares it to a certain extent. Birthplace of country music, Bristol, Virginia. And in 1927 was the first time that a record producer worked in partnership with a mountain music man. And he helped bring down musicians from the mountains and they put the music onto records for the first time ever and then distributed it worldwide. It all started right there. And the Carter family, which June Carter Cash, married to Johnny Cash, that's where she descends from. The Carter family, which is known as the first family of country music, that's where they were discovered, were at those Bristol Sessions. Even today, you can go visit the Carter family fold, which is in Virginia, just outside of Bristol. And every Saturday night, they do live music where you can go and you can hear that mountain music and you can learn how to flat foot dance. They're happy to teach you, pull you on down. And in fact, if you like to play the fiddle or the guitar or the banjo or any of those kinds of instruments and you want to join them, they are often more than happy to have you join them on stage. So it's a very community-oriented experience, great way to learn and listen to mountain music. And there are other venues around Virginia and that Southwest Virginia area, all part of our Heritage Music Trail, the Crooked Road. Lots of other venues where you can go and do the same kind of thing, like the Floyd Country Store, etc. 300 miles, self-drive, go along and just experience true Appalachian mountain community and the people, the way they live, how important music is to them. It's really a fun trip.
I know that Patsy Cline, perhaps the greatest female country singer of all time, is a Virginian. And you've also got a jazz there because my favourite female singer of all time, Ella Fitzgerald, she was also a Virginian. Pharrell Williams, he's a Virginian. You really do turn them out, don't you?
Yeah, a couple of fun things to note there. Patsy Cline is, yes, from Winchester, Virginia, which is up at the top, the north end of the Shenandoah Valley. So that's like the top of Virginia versus Bristol at the bottom. But if you go along the bottom of Virginia, I like to explain to people that Virginia is like a shoe. If you're looking down at the side of the shoe, the toe is Bristol, the heel is Virginia Beach. Washington, D.C. would be up at the top where you slide your foot in.
That would be the tongue, given all the talk that goes on there.
Well, that too. And then the front where the laces go is basically Shenandoah National Park, the Blue Ridge Mountains, the Blue Ridge Parkway running all the way down to the toe in Bristol. And then there's a little feather off the back of the shoe, which is the eastern shore of Virginia, which many people don't realize is part of Virginia and is between that Chesapeake Bay and the Atlantic Ocean and runs up to Maryland. If you go across the bottom of the shoe from Bristol in the toe all the way over to Virginia Beach, Hampton Roads, and Norfolk area over there, that's really what we call our home of hip hop. Pharrell Williams was from there. Yep. Missy Elliott was from there. Some of the most historic concerts in hip hop happened in that region. And it really has set the tone for a lot of what hip hop is today in America. So we really do have a massive diversity of music, as well as that diversity of landscape.
And you also have a massive diversity of cuisine there, of course, because you've got Chesapeake Bay, which provides a lot of seafood, and you've got some very, very good farming country there as well, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what makes for all that great wine grapes that we grow, right? And hops as well for the beer. But yeah, we raise cattle, sheep, pigs. Virginia is very well known for their ham. If you come here, you really need to check out the ham in the southern part of the state. We're also known for peanuts because we were the first commercial seller of peanuts. And Virginia peanuts are known to be larger than a lot of peanuts. Planters started here. You all know Planters. Hey, if you go buy Planters, you're not going to get Virginia peanuts. And if you come here, I can help show you and explain that to you. Bottom line is Planters peanuts are more of because they grow most of them in Georgia now, and they're smaller, rounder peanuts. Virginia peanuts are very long. They're what's referred to often as gourmet peanuts. They're very long, they're larger, and they really do have a slightly different taste, and people love them. We also have a trail down there called the Salty Southern Route. We have a lot of self-drive trails to help you discover Virginia, and you can go along the Salty Southern Route, and it takes you to peanut plantations where you can see how they pull the peanuts out of the ground and et cetera, and then to pork producers so you can see how ham is made and all of that. So yeah, that whole salty Southern heritage is a big part of Virginia.
Although Virginia, in terms of sizes of states, it's certainly not the biggest state in the United States, but certainly there seems to be a lot to do there. You have got a lot packed into that area, haven't you?
Yeah, and that is exactly why the core, the root, as they say, of why I think, and obviously I'm a little bit biased, but why I think Virginia is one of the best U.S. states to visit. It's kind of like it should be on everyone's checklist. Virginia, it's one of the few states where you've got that diversity of landscape. So you can get the ocean experiences, you can get the mountain experiences, you can get to them very close. Like I said, only about 4 hours drive. So it's easy to experience both in one vacation, right across the Potomac River from Washington, D.C. So if you want that really big city experience, you can absolutely get it when you visit Virginia. But we also have our own cities. Virginia Beach in that area is actually one of our most populated areas. But Richmond, our capital, the home of the Confederacy, and a city that is going through dynamic changes and has for a while now, is a fascinating city. It's got all that Southern history about all of the Civil War aspects. You can learn so much about the Civil War by going to Richmond and learn, that whole portion of that history of the U.S. It's also a city where it's got one of our most primary colleges that has a very dedicated art program, Virginia Commonwealth University. So you get a lot of artists who come to go to school there, and they have taken that concept of art and really splashed it across the city. And I mean that quite literally. The street art in that city is amazing. In fact, they just recently did a new project called Mending Walls. And he invited street artists from all over the world to come and collaborate with Richmond artists on murals in the city to represent mending walls, which is a big part of America's story right now. So you can really learn a lot about that history and dynamic of today. It's a hotbed city for culinary, a lot of standout chefs that are coming out of there right now. The James River also runs right through the middle of the city, and there are areas for rapids for whitewater rafting. So you can literally whitewater raft, whitewater kayak, whitewater stand-up paddleboard, literally right to the middle of the city, and lots of hiking opportunities there and biking opportunities. It kind of represents a lot of everything that Virginia has, the history, the culinary, the outdoors, all in this dynamic little city that is making a big splash. If you go and look up Richmond and you look, there are countless major publications out there that have said Richmond is a city you should go visit. Travel and Leisure, Lonely Planet, Nat Geo Traveler, that's Richmond, and I highly recommend it.
Christie, after listening to you, I've fallen in love with Virginia.
Good. That would be my mission.
mission accomplished. I've been speaking to Christie Braggingyon from Virginia is for Lovers, and now I know why it's for lovers, because you can do almost anything there. Sounds like a fantastic destination. Christie, thanks very much for speaking to us on tellmewheretogo.com. It's on my bucket list now. Congratulations.
Fantastic. Thank you. You're most welcome. And I'm happy to do that for anybody that's interested in Virginia.